Good afternoon. Are we all there? Can you all hear me? Can you all see me? Are you guys good and ready to go? You good over there? Nice. One over there as well. Are you ready to go? Yo. Can we start? Okay, so today's tutorial, we firstly welcome back from your long holiday. Well, not long. It was just a week. We haven't had tuts for quite a while, so I understand if there might be some questions and things that you guys want to catch up and do and whatever. What we're going to do for this tutorial is we are going to be reflecting on family and parenting. Before we go on, can you guys just tell me where you at in terms of your lecturing, in terms of the family development? What is the last thing that you got lectured on? What were the topics? What was it about? You can just unmute and then let me know. Yes, or you can type it in the side if you'd like. What was the last thing that you were lectured on? Where are you at in terms of your lectures? Okay, I think we'll just move on. For those of you who are, yes.
Yes, we just had difficulties, but we're on again. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I just asked a question about where you guys are at in terms of your lectures. So can you let me know?
Me personally, I'm through all the lectures that there are on Funda. Are you talking about the lessons?
Yeah, what was the last one that you got?
I've been through them all, but I'm just a bit behind with the readings.
So what's the last topic that you spoke about?
I almost think it's a Christian family, what a Christian family is and should look like.
Okay, was that today by Jenny?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not very sure. It was like last week that I did go through that. So I could be wrong.
Okay, cool, no problem. Today we will just be looking at your assignment that's due today. I'm sure you're aware of that, September 11th. Your second assignment is due. I hope not to see any shocked faces because we had quite a long time with that. And then I'll be going through the assignment, just giving you some last tips because you have until midnight. Please try to make sure that they're in on time. And then we will go through, let me just see what it is. Reflection on parenting. In terms of family, reflection on parenting. So I'm just going to put the assignment up so you can have a look at it. I'm sure you would have had a lot of engagement with the assignment already. But just so that we can all read, just go through it together. Assignment 2 is your report. It says that after investigating concept of differentiation of self. Give a report on your own process of differentiation from your family of origin. Include in your discussion the process of establishing the person-to-person relationships, and then becoming a better observer and controlling your emotional reactiveness. So you should have read up on Murray Bowen's theory of self-differentiation, get a good and clear understanding of what it entails, the various aspects of the theory, and then give our own report based on the theory, how your own family is sort of seen, if I can call it that, in that light. Your word count is 1,500 words. 25% of your final mark is due tonight at midnight, or actually 1 minute before midnight, after which 3% will be deducted for every day that it's late. Please try not to get it in late, because we want to give people good marks. You'll be marked on your understanding of the reading firstly, and then how you interpret and apply it to your own life. And then also we'll be looking at your presentation skills, your grammar, and your referencing. I don't need to emphasize that again. You guys know it, you understand it. If there are any questions, you're welcome to ask me or email me. Please do so before you submit your final draft, though, so that you can at least get the best of what it is that you need to present. Cool. Are we good where that's concerned? Can we move on? I'll take that as a yes. Awesome. So now let us move on to reflection on different parenting styles. This is very interesting. I think you guys will enjoy this. I'm just gonna give you a screen share of it. There you go. Reflection on various parenting styles. As we know, every family is different, so the way that every family would parent their children would be different. Introduction. Specific parenting practices are less important in predicting child well-being than the broad pattern of parenting. Parenting style is meant to describe normal variations in parenting. So that's just an introduction to how parents parent their children. It says that the different parenting style is to describe normal variations in parenting. Parent style refers to the way that parents interact with their children and act with them, and not a single act. So let's say a mother shouts once at her child. You can't isolate that single act and call her parenting style loud and shouting or something like that. It refers to the overall pattern of the parenting. Then if we look at normal parenting, in inverted commas, what we call normal parenting revolves around issues of control. Although parents may differ in how they try to control or socialize their children and the extent to which they do so, it is assumed that the primary role of parents is to influence, teach, and control their children. So the main three roles of parents would be influencing, teaching, and also controlling their children. Parental control takes two forms, either coercive or inductive. Coercive control forces the children and says, this is what you need to do, and if you don't do it, then you are bad and you need to listen to me and this is important and whatever. Inductive control says that it gives the child a reason and explanation and encourages a voluntary compliance. Doesn't tell the child exactly what to do, but gives the child reasons why perhaps doing this or that would be wrong, or doing this or that would be beneficial, and then that parenting style would then allow time for the child to act in his or own capacity. At either extreme of either cohesive or inductive parenting styles, we can find there will be a number of problems. Example, if a parent is too cohesive, the parent begins to then consume the child, and the child doesn't have his or her own identity. The child may also then develop feelings of resentment, anger, and bitterness toward the parent because the child is always being forced and coerced into doing things. On the other extreme of it, if the child is given too much freedom and just allowed to do whatever he or she wills, whenever he or she pleases, then obviously we know that that kind of freedom given to a child would then be dangerous. And therefore it is important in parenting styles for parents to then find a healthy middle ground between cohesive parenting styles and inductive parenting styles. Cool, can we move on? Okay. Okay, there's one more thing to add onto the slide. It says parenting style captures two importance of parenting: parental responsiveness, how parents respond to their children, and then parental demandingness, what the parent demands of the child. So how parents respond, and then what the parent will then demand of the child. Parental responsiveness produces parental warmth or supportiveness. It refers to the extent to which parents intentionally foster individuality, self-regulation, and self-assertion by being attuned, supportive, and respectful towards the needs and demands. So the parents are then responding in a healthy way to the children. Parental demandingness or behavioral control refers to the claims that parents make on the children to become integrated into the family by their maturity demands, supervision, disciplinary efforts, and willingness to confront the child who disobeys. So these are the various demands that the parent makes on the child. And once again, a healthy balance must be found between not being too demanding and not having any demands at all, as well as not being too responsive by sort of coddling your baby or babying them all the way up into teenagehood and even adulthood, and not being unresponsive, to which the child feels no warmth and no support, no self-regulation or self-assertion can be then attained, as well as there will be no growth as a child integrating well into the family. Can I continue? Awesome. There are 4 parenting styles. Each of them can be quite easily explained just by looking at the name. So the first parenting style would be indulgent, indulging in, taking part in, another word for the word indulge. Authoritarian, authoritative, we'll get into the differences between the two of those. And then you have your uninvolved parents. More detail will be provided on those parenting styles shortly. Each of these parenting styles reflects different naturally occurring patterns of parenting values, practices and behaviors, and a distinct balance of responsiveness and demandingness. So just by looking at a parent's parenting style, we can get an understanding of the behaviors and the values which those parents hold dear to and which they emphasize. So indulgent parents, these are some of the characteristics. They're also referred to as permissive or non-directive. Basically, you're allowed to do anything, just go for it, whatever you feel is right, you can do it. The child makes the rules, the child decides when he's going to go sleep, the child decides what he wants to eat and when he's going to eat it. They are more responsive than they are demanding. They are very lenient and non-traditional. They do not require mature behavior from the child or from the teenager. And they allow considerable self-regulation and they avoid confrontation. So this parent will just allow the child to do most of what he or she pleases in a very lenient manner, even if the behavior is immature or unhealthy or inappropriate. And some of the reason for doing this is to avoid confrontation. Make sense? Just a little bit of information here. Popular in the 1950s and 60s, this style was a reaction to the horrors of whole nations following the dictators in World War II. Instead of following, children are encouraged to think for themselves, avoid inhibitions, and not value conformity. Parents take a hands-off approach, allowing children to learn from the consequences of their actions. Misbehavior is usually ignored. So indulgent parents are usually the parents that won't discipline or correct their children, but for the most part just allow them to learn from their experience and take very little part in the disciplining and the shaping of the child's personality and what he or she is allowed to and not allowed to do. Can we move on? Any questions so far? No questions? Awesome. Okay, I won't go through this. You can read through this when you get the slides. Just a question, are these slides on Funda, the parenting slides? Thumbs up if yes, thumbs down if no. Thumbs up, okay. Awesome. So I'll let you guys go through that on your own on Funda. I'm just giving you a brief introduction. Authoritarian parents, not to be confused with authoritative parents, because there is a difference between the two. So authoritarian parents are highly demanding and directive, but they aren't respondent. They just want obedience and they are status orientated. So authoritarian parents want the status of I have obedient children and they listen to what I do, and whatever I tell you to do, you do it without questioning it. I don't need to explain anything to you. You just do it because I'm the parent and I said so. They provide well-ordered and structured environments with clearly stated rules. They can be very directive, but not intrusive or highly intrusive. So they give lots of instructions and then either leave you to do it and don't intrude on it at all, or they'll still give lots of instructions and directions, thus being highly directive. And even in that highly directive state, they will intrude in, are you doing it properly? No, you must do it this way, and I told you to do that, and you're not doing this properly, and get done with that, and this, that, and the other. Very rule orientated, very strict households. This parent values obedience, commanding the child what to do and what not to do. Rules are clear and unbending, so there's no room for ifs, buts, and maybes. Can I, maybe, can't I, whatever. The parent pours the right information into the child, who is considered to be an empty vessel. Misbehavior is strictly punished. A type of trait that is often associated with authoritarian parents, as you may denote, is conditional positive regard or conditional love. in that the parent only regards the child in a positive manner, or the parent only loves the child in a positive manner if the child properly obeys the rules and the demands that have been set upon him or her. And whenever there is an infringement upon these rules or morals or laws or whatever that the parent has instilled, then these infringements are then strictly punished by the parent. And very seldom do these things go unpunished. Does that make sense of an authoritarian parent? We move on. Awesome. That's just some more facts on authoritarian parenting. You can go over that at when you read through your slides. Then let's just look at the difference between authoritarian. It says demanding and highly directive, but they are not responsive. So they give lots of demands and directions and whatever, but they don't respond. There's no warmness and love and warmth that is being provided. There's very little response from the parent. Then we have authoritative, different to authoritarian, that is demanding, but they are also responsive. So the demands that are made on the child are then responded to by being warm and being loving and being affectionate, if the child is then able to follow these demands and the rules that are set before them. Monitor and impart clear standards for the children's conduct. They are assertive but not intrusive and restrictive. So they assert well what needs to be done, but they don't intrude on it, and they don't restrict the child to say, I told you to do this, so you need to do only this. But they are open to flexibility and change. They aren't rigid in the way that they parent. In terms of discipline, these parents will discipline their children in a supportive manner rather than punishing them. So supporting them and helping them on the right path rather than punishing them for making a mistake or doing something wrong. They want their children to be assertive as well as socially responsible and self-regulated as well as cooperative. These parents establish basic guidelines for their children, clarifying issues. They give reasons for limits. Learning to take responsibility is a high priority. Children are given lots of practice in making choices and guided to see the consequences of these choices. Misbehavior is handled with an appropriate consequence or by problem solving with the child to find an acceptable way to get desires met. Out of control children have time to cool off, but it's not seen as punishment. Children are part of deciding how to make amends when someone or something has been hurt. So authoritative parents maintain that I still have the authority as the parent, but I'm still accommodative and flexible and understanding of the child and his or her mistakes, and there's a more of a developmental walking alongside you approach rather than authoritarian, which says this is what I said you must do and you do it, and there's very little interaction in the child's life. Can we move on? Uninvolved parents. Simply put, there's low responsiveness, no demandingness. So there's very little warmth and care and love and empathy provided, as well as very little rules and regulations and boundaries installed in the family or within the child. They demand little and respond minimally. In extreme cases, this parent style might entail neglect and rejection. The characteristic of urban families, when both parents are working, there's only one parent, or there's only one parent, this you would understand how parents would be uninvolved in circumstances such as these because they either never at home to be able to help out with the kid or be responsive or to instill rules and boundaries, or they just don't care, or because of work or family constraints and issues that the parent just isn't around. A home without an authority figure is fertile ground for the authoritarian leader that preys on neglected people. That's a quote by Christopher Lash. You guys can just go through that summary. I'll just give you 2 minutes to read through that before we end off. Are you guys done? Okay. So that's that for today. I know it seemed very rushed and we went through it fast. Are there any questions, either concerning the content or your assignment, which is due today, 1 minute before midnight?
Just the assignment. I just want to make sure of those. I understand the concept of self-differentiation, and it's about identity, and that someone's identity is stronger in themselves, and that has possible causes. But then the stuff that they say you must add to the discussion. There's like 2 things. I think it's something about relationships, and the other one is yeah, the 2 questions. But I'm just not very sure how that relates to differentiation. Like the one is how did you establish relationships? But yeah, I don't know how to like what do you say, combine those 2 elements.
Okay, the first one is establishing person-to-person relationship, right?
Yes.
And then the second one is becoming a better observer and controlling your own emotions. So how establishing person-to-person relationships will relate to self-differentiation is you would, by differentiating yourself, right, pulling yourself away from being enmeshed in your family, right, becoming your own individual. Through that, you would then establish relationships and decide, okay, because I am who I am and I know who I am and I've removed myself from sort of the system of the family and I now understand myself in an individualistic way. I know my own identity. I can then decide how I'm going to establish my relationship with my mother, how I'm going to establish my relationship with my father and my brother, instead of me feeling like, let's say for example, I need to always please my father, I need to get good marks, I need to always do things right, I need to always be exactly what he wants me to be. That is an example of someone who has not differentiated themselves from their family of origin. So once you've been self-differentiated, you can then decide how you're going to establish your various relationships with each family, what the boundaries are of those relationships, what the elements and the aspects of those relationships would then contain. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does it answer your question?
Yes, and the same with the second question. You just how that is affected by the differentiation.
Yes.
The one of observer.
Yes. How your differentiation then enables you to become a better observer and lessens your proclivity to react. So you can just observe, even though the things are happening, you can say, okay, I'm not going to get involved in this. I'm not going to react to this. I'm just going to observe. Even though I'm still part of this family, I'm not completely switching myself off, but I'm moving myself better from a role of reacting in emotionality, and I'm shifting to just observing.
Okay. And the whole assignment must be based on the family. You can't reference it like to your friendships and your other outside relationships in terms of differentiation.
You can do that, but not too much. If you can give a good point and a good explanation on how this applies to friendships and other relationships, then that can be accepted. But for the most part, we want you to relate it to your family of origin.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I think that's it for today. You guys can enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Okay. Have a nice day.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too. Bye bye.